in the room have an Asgardian account on Asgardia Space?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello? Hi. Ivan. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Take a seat anywhere. We're about to start actually, so you're lucky. I was asking actually if everyone has an account. If you don't, it's fine. You can just open it now. It's very easy.
The account on the website is there.
The website? Can someone refresh on memory? What's the website name?
Yeah, Asgardia.space.
I think I didn't write it here, but you saw
It's
it on
outside
the banner
there, right?
outside. Yeah. So do you also have an account? No? All right. So I would invite you to sign up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's probably on the cover.
Yeah, it's right here.
So it's Asgardia.space, and it's very easy process.
It's a room magazine.
I could actually open. I think we have internet connection here.
Yeah, we do have a Wi-Fi point if you want to use it.
Yeah, everyone can access. I think password was what? Incredible with capital G and H. I come to this magazine and explain what it is, what it represents, and make a few comments about it. So Asgardia.space, it should log on to my account. So this is the welcome page. On the left, you have the number of Asgardians, which, as you can see, is a little bit over 1 million people. If you click actually here, you can see how many in which country. So I find it interesting. Of course, China has the most Asgardians. Turkey, which is a big surprise. Hi. Good to see you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
We just started, so we didn't miss much. Yeah. We waited till 4:30. So you can see this, and you can do it in your own time. And Malaysia is number 30 something.
10,000, just above Japan.
Okay, so we better. You see, 19. So Malaysia is not that bad if you compare to all the other countries. It's surprising, honestly. So there's an interest in Malaysia about what Asgardia represents. The thing is, in my experience, when you meet different people, they will have different perception of what Asgardia is. So that's why each time I meet some Asgardians, or people who don't know, I try to explain as clearly as I can, answer questions so that we have a unified vision. Because some people think like, next week they are moving to some space station that is waiting for them over there. It's not quite yet there. Maybe for their grandchildren.
But how's the progress? How many satellites have you sent?
How many satellites? One.
Only one.
Only one. But if you're ready to finance one, I'm sure we can send another one within a year. Because there's a backlog, right? When you send satellites, it's not like you give a phone call and the next week it's up there. It's a very long process. You have authorizations. You have to justify it through the country, institution from where it is launched, even if it's a private company. So it's not done like that. Usually, if you want to launch it, you do it beginning of the year for the following year. It can be faster. You can jump the queue if you have more money to put, and you can, or if you are named like Elon Musk, and you can launch your own rocket, and you don't really, bother about waiting for someone else's. Hi. Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Clement. I'm Ivan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Also about Elon Musk.
Yes.
Has he helped any way at all?
Well, he has been contacted. He knows about Asgardia, but he has different endeavors. He's into other projects. But we will probably most likely use his services, because why recreate the wheel while the best rocket is there with the most competitive cost, right? So it makes sense that there will be some kind of partnership at some point, but he won't be a drive for Asgardia, more a tool. So we will be his customer basically. So this is the welcome page, and these are the residents, about 1,200 on the right side, as you can see here. Same, if you click on it, you can see where they are located. And currently, Malaysia has... I got very happy because we had more. We had 10. And then, as the resident fee needed to be renewed at the anniversary people paid, we lost a few in January. So I personally paid in January, and I know some other Asgardians locally who have paid in January. So we should be fine with that number for a while. But if you look, we're number 32 out of all the countries in the world, which honestly, again, is not too bad. I'm just sad for the number. So I'll come to what being a resident means. And so that's where you sign up. I'm already logged in. I can open maybe on another browsers, that's the best I could do. I could show you the process. It's very straightforward. You just click on the big yellow square all the way up there, and I know the phone version, I'm sorry, I don't have the phone version, I cannot really connect my phone. It could be possible, but that's not the point. You could click on join and you just are asked basic data. You start with the email, and that's the one I actually used to connect with all of you who received an email. But to be clear, I didn't have your email. I don't have a list of all the Asgardians in Malaysia because Asgardia respects privacy, and when you accepted, the settings in Asgardia, it is clear that you didn't give your consent to give me, even if I represent you, your data. So I don't know who you are until you tell me, I'm coming. So it's not like I will send an email to you guys. Now I have your email, and I will start bothering you. But I will be soft. It's not like every day or every week you will receive an email. It's only when we will have important either decisions, because I want you to be part of decision making, meetup to come, and celebrations. How did it happen? Well, Asgardia centralized. I said I would like you to send an email targeting this city. So I said all the cities around KL and in the Klang Valley I could think of, and therefore they sent the email allowing you guys to be here. You came by KTM, if I'm right.
Today, no.
No?
It was late.
All right. So by taxi or car?
Yeah.
All right. Right. Where do you come from?
Plane.
Klang.
Yeah.
So we have people coming all the way from Klang. That's what I wanted, Klang Valley, because it's in that part of Malaysia. It's kind of an area that is usually all inclusive. Please note that you can run for mayorship yourself, and if you want to be a mayor for your city, we would need one for Subanjaya, for Petaling Jaya, for all these satellite towns around Kuala Lumpur. So we can discuss that at a later stage. So that's where you sign up. Next page, I want to create a fake account just to show you. Next page, you can just put whatever info you wish to share. I would suggest you put a picture, but again, if you put a picture of Master Yoda, it's fine. I don't mind. It's you, right? It's not like an obligation. And if you don't want to put your real name as your profile name, you can keep the number that is assigned to you, which will be your Asgardian number. We are now, I think, in about 1,400,000 Asgardian IDs, because many accounts have been terminated, because some were using Asgardia as a spamming place. Some other people were there creating multiple accounts, because there were some competitions and you could win things, and they created many accounts to vote for themselves. I mean, people are people, right? So Asgardia is just a nation like everywhere else, where you have people who try to, to do things that would not be recommendable. Anyway, so we have sometimes, if we go back to that main page, it's interesting because the number on the left side, 1,039,959. sometimes you see it's dropping. It's because they go and they remove a batch of accounts. So don't be dismayed if you see, oh, we lost Asgardians. Well, it's not like we lost Asgardians, some accounts were removed, were contaminated. So, alright, so that's just how to sign up. I have, we'll start I think with the presentation. Alright, so Asgardia was created on the 12th of October 2016. There was a press conference in Paris, in the Ritz Hotel, which welcomed many journalists. Reuters was there and disseminated the information so that the next day all newspapers who were interested, that were interested in space somehow, or have a rubric about science, new technologies, society, relay the information. And that's how, as I mentioned before you arrived, for the later ones, that's why we had over 100,000 people in the first hours that Asgardia was founded. This man you see here is Dr. Igor Ashurvili. He is the founding father of Asgardia. He's the one who was at the press conference. On his left, you see Ana Mercedes Diaz. She's the current Prime Minister of Asgardia. I will go to that. I will introduce more people. This was taken in Vienna, Austria, as it is indicated at the back, last year, in April, when there was the first Executive Congress that gathered the chairs, the 12 chairs of Parliament of Asgardia, and the 12 ministers for the first time. This is during that event that the ministers took their functions. So it's quite recent. If you look 2016 to 2019, in this period of time, Asgardia had its own, we see it, coat of arms, flag, national anthem that I removed, but we'll go back to it. We also have a constitution. There's also a document called the Declaration of Unity, which is giving basic rights and purpose for Asgardia, which became, when the constitution was issued, the first chapter itself of the constitution. The constitution has 50 articles, 10 chapters, and you have everything that you need to know about the direction Asgardia will be taking is there. It's 33 pages, PDF format, but I don't know, I've read it maybe 4 or 5 times, and I go back to some articles. Anyway, when you sign up for Asgardia, you're asked to whether you accept the constitution or not. Most people, they just put a tick in the box saying I accept, and they never read it. I was not like that. I actually didn't tick the box. I actually just read the thing and said I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. Because at that time the constitution was not approved. We were voting for it, and I didn't want to vote for it because I was not satisfied with it. And then what? We have 1 million people, as we've seen. Everyone has an opinion. So what do you do then, if everyone has an opinion? So the problem became, I have to accept that it's a work in progress. And Asgardia is not perfect, but the ideas that it brings, the ideas that will be developed are what I wanted to follow. So that's why I accepted the constitution, though I can tell you which articles I disagree with. So, we have had also a parliament. Our parliament is composed, when we have all the members, of 150 members of parliament. How are they elected? They are elected through language districts. And this is very important for us in Malaysia. Because we don't have Bahasa as one of the main languages. Why? Because there were not enough of people here in Malaysia who signed up choosing that language. Hello. I'm Ivan.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Please grab a seat. We started maybe 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Just give me a minute. Just.
Where are you originally from?
Oh, originally, as it was guessed, from France.
France.
Yes.
So, what kind of work do you do in Asia?
Okay.
Rosel.
All right. This is just to record, to get something to remember. So yeah, I can introduce myself. Yeah, Ivan Rosel, been here for about 3 years. I came to Malaysia, I counted actually, and in the last 24 years? In the last 22 years, I calculated that either in transit or visiting, I've come to Malaysia 60 times. So I started to know the place quite well. I lived in China for 8 years. Oh, we lost already 2 people? Okay. So, yeah, anyway. So, the situation is I relocated from China after being there 8 years and decided that it was time to find another place. Pollution levels were on the rise and we didn't feel safe for that reason. I had like lung issues. Malaysia is perfect. I know you have like something from your neighbor sometimes in what, July, August, September, I don't know, some clouds. You say it's heavy pollution, for me it's nothing coming from China. So it's just scary, but nothing.
So you're a researcher?
No, I'm actually, well, I was a lecturer for a French university. I was, for the last 3 years, I was working online, but currently I am what you call a dependent, on a dependent visa, with my wife being the one working. She's a chiropractor from Canada. So you will know everything about me. I won't return the question, but actually, at some point maybe we can also introduce each other, because we are here for something that obviously matters to us. So I hope you won't leave the room too fast. So, yeah, so as I was explaining, it's very important to understand how Parliament is elected. The Constitution defines that there are 13 language districts. Actually, it says 12, but there is a 13th one, which includes all the languages that are not included in the 12 first languages. As you can guess, the first language is?
English.
It is English. I chose English, though I am a French speaker. The current languages, in order of choice from the Asgardians when they signed up, is English. The second one is Chinese. I know Chinese doesn't sound right. It should be Mandarin or Cantonese, Guangdonghua, whatever, but they say Chinese. The third one is Turkish. For some interesting reason, we have a lot of people from Turkey who became Asgardians. In fact, it's over 100,000 Asgardians. It's over 10%, I think 12% of the Asgardian population who have chosen Turkish as their language of choice. You choose the one you feel comfortable with. And I would encourage you guys to go back and change the language into Bahasa. Because by doing that, if the 10,000 people we have seen on the front page of the website, if the 10,000 people choose Bahasa, we will have Bahasa as one of the official languages. Because this fluctuates. Because the population changes. We have many people signing up. They choose a language. Therefore, the list I'm starting to give with English, Chinese, Turkish, Spanish is number 4. You can imagine the whole of South America except Brazil basically have Spanish as their main language of communication. Central America. The US, it's the second official language in many states. Then you have the number 5 is Italian, which also is a surprise, right? Because Italy is a small place, but we have a lot of Asgardians. A lot of people were, I would say, seduced, interested, enthusiastic about Asgardia in the first hours. We have, I think, 6 members of parliament from Italy. Then, after Italian is French. After French is Russian. Then we have Arabic. I think that must be number 8 is Arabic. Number 9 is Portuguese. Number 9 is German. Number 10 is Portuguese. Number 11 is I think it is Farsi, which is also surprising, but they are numerous. Iranian, but Farsi is also a language spoken in a region, and you have a lot of people who escaped after 1979 or the revolution. So you have a big population in California, in Vancouver, in different cities in North America who are Farsi speakers. And the 12th language, I guess if you think hard, you will guess it is Hindi. Because you have a big population in India that, though they are the people who are educated are English speakers and are likely to choose English, but we have a lot of Hindi speakers also. So there will be a by-election for parliament. We will renew about 50 members of parliament in this year, 2020. So if you think you are a suitable candidate, please run. You can run for the language district you represent. And as I say, it will be most likely reassessed. So that's why I'm saying we can have Bahasa as one of the languages, which would be interesting because it would put 2 countries, Indonesia and Malaysia, onto the map. I know, it's just like, I'm French. People in Quebec, they say they speak French. They don't. I need a translator. I don't understand what they say. But that's maybe the challenge you can feel the same I feel when I speak to Quebecers. So this is our flag. You can see it in full here, but this is the choice that was kept for the format, to fit more in international format. This is the full-blown flag. The sun in the middle, 9 colored rings in gold, which represents the solar system, let's say it this way. The 3 rings after that represent all the possible exploration beyond. It expands beyond, because we know it's just one tiny corner of the galaxy we're in the universe we're in, and then there's more. We know it's more, and we know we're nothing. But this is our symbol. That's where we are. That's Asgardia's flag. Personally, I didn't like it, but that's another debate.
Yeah, I remember that something. I voted for something else.
Yeah, I voted for something else as well.
I did vote for this.
So this is our flag. Our coat of arms is there, and Dr. Ashobeli is. You came along today?
Oh yeah.
All right. So Dr. Ashobeli was made our head of nation first by the first decree. He asked the permission in January, just 3 months after we had already 500,000 Asgardians. He asked the permission to these first Asgardians if it could be I don't know what word would be appropriate, the captain or the steward. Maybe the steward would be the better term, to be the steward of Asgardia until there are proper institutions to select a proper head of nation. So he actually was confirmed as the head of nation in 2018 in Vienna, Austria. I was present for the inauguration of the head of nation of Asgardia. We had dignitaries from different countries, we had astronauts, I'll come to it. All of this brought a lot of attention, and we had our first session of parliament. So the people who were elected, 147, because there were tally issues at the end, so we didn't have 150 members, we had 147 members in parliament. And then many of them were able to be verified, because we're a digital nation and it presents some challenges. The main challenge is like, I sign up on Asgardia, I say my name is Joe, but my name is Ivan. How do you know? So we need to verify people's ID. But you can buy a fake ID. You can scan it and show, this is my ID over the computer. So we need to have a proper process of verification of members of parliament. So we have a few who were not able to be verified. Some were verified at a later stage, and they were given, I think, a time of 5 months to be verified. And after that time, the ones who were not able to be verified, they had to be removed. They couldn't be members of parliament elect anymore. So that's why we have to renew. It's not like we lost many, but these days some are becoming discouraged. You have to understand that to be a member of parliament, it's not like you have a lot of privileges, you have a lot of work. You probably don't know, but they meet every week for digital sessions. They are part of committees in parliament. There's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, but it's not full-time. They are volunteers. They don't receive any salary or payment, just like myself. I don't receive any salary or payment. At this time, Asgardia is new. And like any new nation, you can't levy taxes or get like huge incomes and huge amount of money as income that can be redistributed for the functioning itself. So all the money that is injected comes from Dr. Ashobeli. He's said by some journalists to be a billionaire, but he says he's not a billionaire, so I suspect he's a multi-millionaire, which to me is the same, but I know there's a difference, but to me it's the same. So he's a successful businessman. He was in a branch of aerospace to design, I think it's, you could say range weaponry. So he has also knowledge about rocketry. And so basically he did create a nation. It's his vision we're still following today. I mentioned to the ones who were there earlier that I'm doing a podcast about Asgardia. You can find it on Spotify, on iTunes or Apple Podcast and so many others. It's called Space Citizen News. It's number 24 now, episode 24. I also described that booklet, which is basically the roadmap for Asgardia for the next 10 years. You can find it also on a digital version online. But if you want to know more, basically, of what I'm sharing now in the main lines, it's detailed pretty much here. You have the pictures of all members. I will show you maybe later. So this is our satellite. It looks big here, but it's about that size. It's a 2-unit, how do you call it? Nano satellite, a 2-cube unit nano satellite, which means 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters twice. Once it is deployed, it has its solar panels that extend much more, and it receives now its power in low Earth orbit. It was launched on the 12th of November 2017, and it is still orbiting to the day. Every 90 minutes, it goes around the Earth. You can upload your data when you're an Asgardian. I've sent my picture, and I know some of you have also sent a picture up there. You can do it still now, because every few because the satellite is not going all the way, always on the same latitude as compared to the rotation of the Earth, because as you know, the Earth turns every 24 hours, so the satellite will do the thing, but then it will have, at different times during the day, it will be on different latitudes, right? So at some moments in the day, we have connection with the satellite, we can upload and download to continue the research. The research of that satellite that is registered with the NASA in the US is to verify the data corruption of the SSD drive that is within, which has a capacity of only 0.5 terabyte, which is already quite a lot to, enough to store pictures. And you can launch yours. I'm in there. I'm orbiting the Earth, because it's a picture of me, of course, with my wife, and you can put the picture of what you want. All right. So this is our satellite. Why it is here and why it is in your face? Because this is our first territory in space. Asgardia can claim nationhood towards the United Nations. Not that we have to be a nation, an existing nation. We don't have to be recognized by the United Nations. But yes, we need to be recognized by other nations. So during the inauguration of the head of nation in Vienna, there were 9 ambassadors in the room. So if a country authorized their ambassador to go in that event, that means they are inclined to start talks, right? So I don't know, I was present, but I didn't take pictures of everyone there to see who they are. I was told after that yeah, there were 9 of that. And I don't know to the day who they were, which country they represented. It was in Vienna, Austria, because Vienna is the place where the United Nations have opened their Office of Outer Space Affairs, UNOOSA, as initials. I will go back to that. And that's where the satellite was designed. So this satellite is the first one. There will be 10,000 other satellites that will be launched in the next coming years. If yourself you are a student, engineer, or have some field of interest there, if you have an idea of something that could be tested, I suggest you send a proposal to Asgardia, because Asgardia, obviously, sending 10,000 satellites will have probably room for your project there. So it can be a great opportunity. All right, so let's continue. So this is, as I mentioned, in Vienna, but this is just last year, where we had these people who got together. This is the first executive congress, and in here you see different people from parliament. Let's start with this guy. You recognize him actually? You don't? No. So this is Lambi Topic. He's a former member of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. He was, I think, for 13 years a Liberal Democrat, if that exists. Yeah. I'm not into politics, so I just... So I've met him, he knows me, and he's a politician, so what do you want me to say? He says, I will come to Kuala Lumpur to support your work. Okay, I'm still waiting, So the day comes, of course, you'll receive an email, and it will be a big thing, and it will be in a big venue, like probably Bukit Jalil, the stadium, I'm joking, but at that time, yeah, you should come. And then you have the chairs of the representative of the chairs of the 12 permanent parliamentary committees in Parliament, because we have 12 ministries, and in Parliament, so that they can work together for each ministry with their own specific agenda. There will be in Parliament a specific corresponding commission, as the Constitution describes it in Article 33. This one is Lucas Oriso-Valvo. He's from Italy. He is the chair of the Parliamentary Committee for Science. This is Salvos Mouzakitis from Greece. He is, by professional lawyer, he is actually a university professor. He's currently teaching in South America. He's a lawyer with different, like a big portfolio as a lawyer, and he's the, as you can guess, the chair of the Parliamentary Committee for Justice. This is Trade and Commerce. It's joint fine from the United States. This one, you have to forgive me if I don't remember everyone, right? It's already a feat to know. But I know them, for most of them personally. I'm sorry, I think this guy, if I recognize who he is, he's not one of the chairs. He was probably just present. I can't see who that is. This is Ben Dell. He was the chair of the Citizenship Committee, but he was promoted as the Deputy Chair of Parliament. He's from South Africa, and he currently holds the position as the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. This is, and he lives in South Africa, I guess I mentioned. This guy is Mauricio Garot. He, up to 1 week ago, he was in the Parliamentary Committee for, he was in charge of, of Foreign Affairs, yeah. Now this one replaces his job. This is, and he is from Argentina. I said up to 1 week ago because, well, you will see if you follow the news in Asgardia on Dot Space. This guy lives in Japan, he's from the US originally, is Dennis Shoemaker. If you were in the early days of Asgardia, he's the one who was the most voted for Parliament. Does he ring a bell for some of you?
Shut up.
Yeah, so Dennis is a jolly good fellow. He teaches in an international school in Japan, next to Tokyo. This is it Richard Okemenitz? I'm not sure anymore, so I prefer to abstain. So these guys represent you guys, right? When you elect someone, they represent you. So you know how Parliament works. You also vote, hopefully, in Malaysia. So this is the same system of representation. So these guys were invited there because it was the first executive congress where the ministers were present, the representative of the chairs of parliament were present, to work together to make Asgardia go to the next level. What is the next level? Well, it's starting this economy. If we want to bring things in space, we need to have money. So to do that, we need to actually start, well, doing the real job, the real work. So I continue. Let me topic, Chairman of Parliament. I mentioned earlier. This is Anna. This is Ana Mercedes Diaz. She's from Venezuela. She's not a U.S. citizen because she has been a promoter of democracy for the last 25 years, I think. She is not welcome in Venezuela anymore because the last two presidents didn't want her there because I don't know if you know the situation in Venezuela. It's crazy these days. This man is from the Hong Kong. He's from Hong Kong. I think it's just two characters. Yung Zhao. He is the current head of the Department of Law of the HKU, of the Hong Kong University. And he's the Supreme Justice of Asgardia. They were all three, the last three people, Lembit Opik, Chairman of Parliament, and our Prime Minister, the lady just before, Ana Mercedes Diaz, and the Supreme Justice, Yung Zhao, were all three appointed to their position on the 24th of June 2018. Just about, we're getting 2 years there, right? That's when we had the major meeting in Vienna, where I happened to have the chance to be, and they were appointed to their positions for a term according to the Constitution. So that guy is is pretty solid in law, and in the coming months there will be a big congress that will take place about citizenship and justice. We will have under him 4 judges. You could call them supreme judges. He's the supreme justice at the head of it. As you know, in every state you need the 3 branches. He's the head of the judiciary branch of Asgardia. We will have 4 supreme judges, and these supreme judges will be the ones to deal with constitutional law, civil law, and all the laws. I'm not a law guy, right? So I'm sorry if I can't give you all the details. It will come in the coming months. They are thinking about organizing it in Montreal, Canada, and I hope I will be able to go because I'm a reporter for my podcast, so I have to go and report. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 3 main people. This was the inauguration of the head of nation, which was the very next day these people were appointed. This is the event itself. Igor Chevalier with the Supreme Justice representing the judiciary, and Lembi Topic representing Parliament, which is the legislative body of Asgardia, and he's the top executive. And that's his inauguration. 25th of June, as I mentioned, 9 people were in that room. I was also in the room there. It was pretty, wow, impressive. They did it in the Hofburg Palace, which is a place where the emperors were crowned and ruled over big areas, in Europe, Central Europe. The, Hofburg and I think Augsburg, like many, even the Queen of England is related to the people who were in that palace. So it's pretty cool that we were able to be there. So anyway, what can I say about the event? It's not posted, is it?
Yeah, I watched it live.
Of course, that's good. Oh. So this is Lucas Rosel explained this science committee. This was the event in Vienna just last year, and all the people present. Let me show a few other names. This lady here is was the Minister of Information and Communication. She resigned because she was appointed by the head of nation to be the number 2 in Asgardia. Her name is Lena de Winne. Her husband, Frank de Winne, is the first commander of the ISS from Europe, right? Because it was mostly Americans and Russians before, but ESA, European Space Agency, actually also participated actively with JAXA from Japan to build the ISS with different modules. And her husband was the first commander of the ISS. I had a chance to meet him several times. He's very reserved. I think when you go there, and that's what I've seen from the different astronauts and cosmonauts I've met, it changes something in your perception of the world. That's what I've learned, but I could speak about that at another time. Other people I didn't mention, this is Igor Chevalier, this is his son, who was just representing, he's the one who was sent in Davos to represent the head of nation who couldn't go last year to the European Economic Forum, for the World Economic Forum. This one was the number 2 of Asgardia at the time. Under the head of nation, he was the head of administration, Dr. Spokojny. He's the one working on the current satellite design. The Prime Minister, Supreme Justice, Chair of Parliament. We have the 12 ministers here and the 12 chairs of Parliament. So it was pretty intense event. I was not welcome, so I didn't even bother to go. So, what happened in 1957? What is this thing?
Sputnik.
Sputnik. So, this is where space started, basically, with that little thing that beeped, and scarily beeping actually, to the point that they had to start a program in the US to thwart the threat. So, what happened in 1961? Well, the first astronaut, who was it?
Yuri Gagarin.
It's not astronaut. It's
Cosmonaut.
cosmonaut. Yuri Gagarin. I need my... And then, what about the first lady who went to space? Russia?
Asmona.
The name is Valentina
Valentina
Tereshkova
Tereshkova.
from Russia, first woman in space. And it's very important today because, as you know, yesterday we have the first team of women who came back from the ISS, and they crushed a lot of things and perceptions. I could expound on that, but for the longest time there was big prejudice against women going to space because they said, oh, it's about the space suit. Women don't pee like men, and it will be terrible, But actually, the truth is that astronauts and cosmonauts will tell you that it's terrible for men to pee on their suit also, because anyway, it's a long story, but if we have time later, we can go back to that. So, the first lady in space and that team of ladies who came back from the ISS, they did 3 extravehicular activities, 3 what we call spacewalks. So this one is actually the first one, the first spacewalk from Alexei Leonov in '65, the first man to go in space like that, right? We didn't know if it would work. What is this one? Who is it? First moon landing, and who is it? Neil Armstrong. We celebrated last year, over and over ad nauseam, the 50 years and everything. Well, ad nauseam because I was in Europe. I don't know here if it was that big. The planetarium Negara is quite good. What I deplore is that it's all in Bahasa, and I don't speak Bahasa. When they do their advertising and their shows, it's always in Bahasa. So you guys should go because I think you speak better Bahasa than I do. Why I speak about it? Because they have a lot of events nowadays. They are waking up, because when I first was here in Malaysia, like 3 years ago, there was not much happening. So I don't know if it's the new government, because our minister, Mestek minister, the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change, Mestek, she actually, Ibin, I think, it's her name, right?
Yeah, Yobin. I met her personally.
Yeah, I was in the same room, but I didn't shake hands. Right?
I shook hands with her once.
Okay. Well, the thing is, she's doing a lot of good things. There's a lot happening. So hopefully, we will officially have a meeting. I hope, but that's what I will explain a bit later. So the first moon landing, Neil Armstrong. Then we have the first station. Do you know the name? It was the Salyut.
Salyut.
Then in '81, do you know which one it was? This one is what we call the shuttle, right? Space shuttle. We had some incidents later. Accidents, I could say. Then we have in '98, that's the ISS, the one you mentioned. So it started with a module, then another, and we have now, I don't know, 2 soccer fields. I don't remember the size. It's quite big, extensive. This guy. You know who he is? It's written actually. Dennis Tito.
The first civilian astronaut.
He's the first space tourist. He's the first space tourist. So it makes us smile maybe, but this is a big market. A lot of people want to go to space. So if we build something there, we can send our own scientists to further research, because I think first people to go in Asgardia, I'm sorry guys, unless you are a scientist, there's no reason why you will be the first ones to go. Maybe in the second or third batch. But the first people will serve purpose, right? And I don't think we have really a purpose. I think I'm too old, I have too much white hair on my beard to think that I have a chance to be there, but who knows, right? It depends how fast it goes.
So how many scientists are struggling right now?
I don't even know what that question.
How many scientists have you seen personally being a resident of Asgardia? Like when you went to Vietnam, you must have met some.
Yes. But I'm not sure I understand your question. How many scientists in Asgardia is it your question?
How many Asgardians are scientists?
Wow. I don't know. It's a very interesting question. We should do statistics. But on your profile, when you sign up, they don't ask your profession. Which is a pity, because I would be interested to know. Because my perception is that's a high number. There's a kind of battle in Asgardia. Some people say you cannot be a religious person and be an Asgardian. I personally have my own belief, and I'm sure some maybe here have their own belief in the room. It's a fight because some people think you need to be an atheist to be an Asgardian, which is not true. The Constitution guarantees the right to practice or not a religion in Asgardia. So I'm saying that because the same way people had a perception that only scientists go to Asgardia or are interested in Asgardia, only atheist people go to Asgardia because of their perception of science that can only be against religion. But I don't have this dichotomy in me. I think it has nothing to do. Science and religion should be the two wings of a bird. If our society has too much of one, then it will not be balanced. If you have too much religion, it's superstition. If you have too much science, it's materialism. We need balance. That's why we have ethics, right? So anyway, to answer your question, I don't know how many scientists we have, but we have a lot, but we have also people who have probably misconceptions about science. And what I mean by that, we have a lot of work to do, and I will come to that as to what we can do in Malaysia. So first, space tourist. Then, during the inauguration of Asgardia, this is what was shown on the big screen in the room when I was there. So that was inauguration. That little girl here actually welcomed all the guests from all the countries who were present. And this guy is Oleg Artemiev from the ISS. As you can see, he was playing around with the symbols of Asgardia. He could not be present in the room in Vienna, obviously, but he sent his greetings to the head of nation from the ISS. So it was also highly symbolic. And for me, it was like, wow, they managed to do that, which was awesome. We had a lot of journalists in the room, but I've noticed that not many of them have, reported on that. But for me, it was really awesome. So the head of nation, before all the members of parliament were newly elected, took his oath to preserve Asgardia's supreme values, as mentioned in the Constitution. If you don't know what that is, it's in the early articles. And so that's the Constitution, where he put his hand on, right? The 33 articles of the Constitution. And then it's a process we never had done before, so we had to do something, right? Symbolic. And then he was handed by the Supreme Justice symbolically, I would say, a necklace that represents managing Asgardia, I guess. So this is the last year first executive congress, where we had, for the first time, all the ministers and the chairs. It was, as it was written, 10th to 12th of April. This guy here, Mr. Muzakitis, has a lot of work because he was commanded by decree by the head of nation to participate in a 3-people group with the Supreme Justice and the Minister of Justice to make the next big law that will start the justice system of Asgardia. It will be launched in May this year, so he doesn't have much time for anything else. And again, he's a volunteer, he's not paid. So don't think that they receive high salaries. But yes, the expenses are paid when they go there, and it's the head of nation who pays for that. From the US, she actually is from the US, but she was born in Russia. This is Leon Shpilsky, we heard him earlier. She's from Italy, she was Minister of Culture. She's the Minister of Youth and Education. And this is the minister is from South Korea. He's the current minister, he was the current minister at the time of of Foreign Affairs. This is Lena Domine. This is he's from Belgium. The guy who was talking, his name is Floris Fruits. He's the Minister of Science. He organized a very big congress. I had the chance to attend. Okay. So the Supreme Justice from Hong Kong. I mean, we're starting to see the same faces, but maybe if I say the name many times, you will start recognizing them. So Stéphane Caveau. I don't remember the name of the South Korean guy. I'm sorry, because he just came last minute, which was a surprise. They are colleagues. He also is a lawyer and a professor at the university in Seoul. This was an interview. There's no sound. I mean, this was the video I was given, right? So it's not like I chose the images. She's the Minister of Youth and Education. He is the Minister of Justice. And this is, as he says, in his office, Igor Shobeli, symbolically the Earth, on the globe. It's a huge one. I'd like to have my picture taken next to it one day. So this is the satellite. And just to explain the satellite, what it represents, it's our territory. To be recognized as a nation with the United Nations, we basically have 4 criteria to fulfill. The first one is we need to have a permanent population. That means some people who are permanently part of the nation, right? Which can be problematic for Asgardia at the time, because you can sign up to the website, but you can terminate your account when you want. Right? So that's also some conceptions, some things. But of course, there will be a core of people who will not leave. The second one is to be recognized by the United Nations, you need to have a territory. But nowhere in the text it says that the territory needs to be on Earth. That's the loophole we're using. Yeah. And it works, because we have specialists of space law that concur to say, yes, this is... why not? Right? So McGill University, the head of the space law department, is a big proponent of Asgardia. His name is Ram Jaku. He was originally born in India and is one of the top specialists in this field of space law. The third criteria, let's also go back to the second one. There's no text that says that the whole population needs to reside on the territory.
So it's all
I'm a French citizen.
Yeah.
I reside in Malaysia. Does it make me less of a French citizen? No? Like a country such as, let's think about, I don't know here in this area of the world, really the massive movement of population from one country to go to another. But I'm pretty sure we have a lot of people from, say, the Philippines, who might be here. I know Bangladesh also, Nepal, I'm starting to see patterns of migration. But let's see, Central America, you have a country called El Salvador, and you have actually more of its population that lives outside. They all live in the US, because they work there and they send the money back home, where the children and grandparents are staying. This is one example. So, it doesn't even say you need to have one person living on the territory for the territory concept and the permanent population to be validated. The third item is to have a functioning government, which we have now. We have our ministers, parliament, we have the 3 bodies, judiciary, legislative, executive, and I cannot say that it works perfectly, because we're doing a digital nation, which is full of challenges. People have different time zones, so how do you have a meeting? When it's 2 a.m. here, it's the time you start the meeting there, so I have to stay awake the whole night for the 6-hour meeting. So it's a lot of challenges that we're tackling. The fourth item is actually to have the capacity to be entering in diplomatic relations with other nations and consequently have agreements with other nations. this is what we're working on now. If they put Mr. Vendel in the committee, at the head of the committee, the parliamentary committee for foreign affairs, it's because he gets things done. And we need laws seriously now to start working on foreign diplomatic relations. As I mentioned, 9 ambassadors were already present during the inauguration of the head of nation, so we are in good position. We are getting there. So these are the 4 core things to be recognized by the United Nations. So this is a general presentation of Asgardia, and I will go now to see what is the vision for Asia and understanding the dynamic in Asia. But before I go there, do you want to take a break? There's coffee if you want. I tell you, I negotiated with the place here.
Bring my own cup.
But who has brought their own cup? Please raise your hand. Yes.
Yeah, I have.
You have?
I have to leave in a few minutes.
Yeah, I know. I realize that. Great. So we have like about half, which is good. That's my thing. It's not Asgardia that says you have to bring your own cup wherever you go. Let's try to do better. But yeah. So if you want a coffee, it is 20 riyals.